Hello. Turn it up. Check, 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 check. Okay, I'm gonna read this. Welcome. Can you hear me? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Turn it towards my face at least. Hey, there we go. Check. Check. Welcome to Turtle Island Tetragrammaton. I'm Nicholas. I'm a gender fluid person of trans experience and a Christian patriot. I think I read that one last. That was in August. A couple of these I missed. I read the first 5. I skipped the one on July 10th. I read the next one. I skipped the one on August 5th and the 17th. Oh, I can't get my shit straight. Well, today's article is October 2nd. It just came out. I can't breathe. This is Bernhard Guenther. Him and his wife, Laura Guenther, are... Who are they, man? It's not easy to quickly summarize them up. They would say their goal is to deprogram, the spiritual concepts that we have. I still am not sure if it's a positive thing or not. So this article is, I'm not really happy about reading this. I'm not really pleased about this. But I'm going to read it because I'm aware Bernhard Guenther is pretty well anti-Christian. He may have a different understanding of what Christianity means to him. I mean, where's the article? So I'm going to read it. October 2nd. This is Bernhard Guenther. You can find his Substack. I'll put it in the description below. And you could read it for yourself. You could support his work. Be a member on his website. veilofreality.com. Just a lot of sketchy shit with this gentleman, but and I just say that because I was intimidated by him, his presence on Instagram. He's a weirdo. Is he creative? You could tell by this AI image that he's not even creative. What am I seeing here? Okay, a lot of distractions. Entities. This must be the astral realm. It's very boring. This is not a very... It's not how I experience life. So I didn't read the title. Charlie Kirk, COINTELPRO, and the Hyperdimensional War on Consciousness. Drama, projection, and Wetiko. in the age of conspiracies. Something about him, he likes to detach from everything. He loves his fellow Sri Aurobindo. Should we figure out who Sri Aurobindo is? He's a yogi, a poet, and a nationalist. So, oh, an old man. Well, I want to pay. If this person deserves my respect, I definitely want to show a graciousness, so don't let me disrespect this man. The mother, okay. Interested in occultism. Yes, of course, occultism. Spiritual development. Group of seekers. Okay. Very nice. The mother. Shit's kind of weird to me, to be honest. I don't have time to parse it right now. I'm gonna drink if Sri Aurobindo is quoted in this article, like every other of his articles. I'll drink twice if the mother is quoted in this article, like she is in every other article of his. Everyone is acting and fooling you when discernment turns into projection. Somatic embodied awareness versus head-centric dissociation. The trap of the second matrix. Caught in the victim blame drama triangle. Snake eyes and predictive programming. Oh, you're gonna do these hot topics, bro? Yes, you are. Wetiko was a concept recently brought to public awareness by this other weirdo, Paul Levy. He wrote about Wetiko, which is a Native American concept. And this is not even the right guy. This is him. Look at that guy, man. Look at that guy. You know what I'm saying? Look at scary. Wow, that's a scary guy right there. That's a scary guy. Cursed image, I swear to God. Nothing changes but just rearranges. Wetiko, the trap of externalizing all evil. COINTELPRO, MK Ultra, and manufactured conspiracies. The spiritual war and the real solution. Introduction. Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th, let's say allegedly shot, since many conspiracies have emerged over the past 3 weeks. Some believe it was completely staged with fake blood, or that it was an AI simulation or hologram that gave the appearance of Kirk being shot. According to them, he's still alive, and everyone on his team at Turning Point, including his wife, the FBI, and hundreds of others, is acting. Let me start by stating that I absolutely question the official narrative. This guy a fucking PR man. professional PR man Bernhard. Let me start by saying I absolutely question the official narrative around the Kirk assassination. I would never pretend to know exactly what happened. Perhaps Tyler Robinson was an ultra patsy. Perhaps there was another shooter. Oh, I'm sorry if you can't see this, bro. I gotta fucking slide it a little bit. Forgot. Not good enough. It's kinda good, not good enough. How's that? Perhaps there was another shooter. Maybe it was a deep state operation designed to intensify polarization and usher in digital ID. The point is, there are many possibilities. The official story is full of holes. Considering all that, I can absolutely see how this event could have been a psyop. I've been speaking out and writing about conspiracies, psyops, false flag attacks, fake shootings, and staged events since September 11, 2001. And before social media, I've written about the London bombing, the Boston Marathon bombing, Sandy Hook, and looked at virtually all high school shootings of the past 20 years with suspicion, since there were always holes in the official story or strange events leading up to them. I'm not claiming I've always been right or that I know the whole truth. PR man. PR man. My views have evolved over the years and they continue to do so. PR man. In this article, I'm not interested in dissecting every detail of the Kirk assassination or debating competing narratives. Feel free to hold your own conclusions about what happened. What follows isn't really about this specific event or any single conspiracy, even though I use Kirk as an example. I can't even breathe. It's about stepping back to examine the bigger picture, looking at this moment through a psycho-spiritual and occult hyperdimensional lens. What an odd fucking thing. I need to stop. So in disclosure, I do support this gentleman. I wanted to join his forum on Veil of Reality. You can find me on the forum over there. But I don't even know why I would support this man. Look at this is such an odd sentence to say. Looking at this moment through a psycho-spiritual and occult hyperdimensional lens, that is a very weird thing to say. And especially reading that the mother here was loving occult stuff. I don't know nothing about this, but I think he if he had a religion, it would be Sri Aurobindo's ashram. And exploring how aspects of the truth-seeking movement have shifted over the past 5 years, as well as my own understanding has changed. Oh, do I write these down? I definitely write these down. So that was the introduction. We'll move on to topic 1. Topic 1. Everyone is acting and fooling you. In my opinion, to say the entire thing was fake, that everyone involved is acting, and that Charlie Kirk is still alive doesn't make sense at all. This phenomena has become more common since the plandemic, where many truthers default to the belief that everything is staged, scripted, a psyop, or a grand simulation, often in increasingly exaggerated ways. According to this line of thinking, everyone involved is giving an Oscar-worthy performance that will put Daniel Day-Lewis to shame. I mean, is that a sense of humor right there? I don't know. Trying to muster up a chuckle, for real. It has been a parody version of truth-seeking. People look at a picture or a 10-second video and say, quote, fake blood, or, quote, the casket is fake, it's a mannequin, end quote. They see a weird hand movement and shout, quote, Freemason. They see a video of Kash Patel saying it took us 33 hours, immediately conclude it's the Illuminati, and call it research. Suddenly, everyone's a forensic expert, decoding supposed clues from social media posts. Subtopic 2. When discernment turns into projection. I was once accused of being Illuminati by someone who took a freeze frame from the YouTube video of my 2018 talk at the Anarchapulco Conference, Transcending the Matrix, Occult Forces, and the Importance of Esoteric Self-Work. PR, man. I mean, this is just a PR save my ass paragraph here. According to him, I was supposedly making a triangle, quote, Illuminati sign, end quote, that just happened to match my shirt and hairline. Right. Right. Notice how his frontal... So what does it say? He begins with important truths, moves it away to disinformation. He conveniently omits the movie They Live by John Carpenter, which is a very close representation on what's taking place on planet Earth. Last but not least, notice how his frontal hair cut synchronizes with his t-shirt upside down triangle. We are not fooled anymore. I've also been called controlled op. I mean, this is a PR move. Like, why would he have to say this? He wouldn't have to say this if he didn't have to say it. You understand? So the fact that he's saying it almost lends credibility to it, because he has to defend his ass. Possibly. I'm not trying to make any conclusions. I've also been called control op or shill over the years simply for having different opinions and not believing the it's all fake, staged, and acted narrative. It would be funny if it weren't so tragic. So tragic. The drama, bro. Not just because of the event itself, because of the level of detachment from reality. These reactions reveal. I mean, what is that? I gotta highlight these and go through them line by line. The level of detachment from reality these actions reveal. What he's saying is you're wrong and I'm right. What Bernhard is saying is, he's like, I may not always be right, but, even when I don't know, it still means I'm right. Detachment from reality. What's most disturbing is how convinced they are that this is what it means to be awake. Bernhard, the most awake of us all. Genuine discernment doesn't look like this. No. Tell us, Bernhard. This line of thinking reflects a troubling development within the truth-seeking community, a kind of paranoid mindset that disconnects from reality. Oh, wow. Paranoid now. At best, it reveals an unconscious trauma response. Oh, yeah, right. This guy fucking gets on my nerves, I'm gonna be honest. At best, it reveals an unconscious trauma response that sees psyops and staged events and everything. At worst, it veers into paranoia. Either way, it isn't grounded. It's disturbing to see how many online accounts attack Erica Kirk on her IG post calling her an actress. That too is an expression of evil. Wow, an expression of evil. With forces working through them and feeding off their hateful projections onto a grieving widow. Oh, yes. And it feeds the very forces they claim to fight. Now we suddenly have grief experts declaring that Erica Kirk isn't grieving in the way she is supposed to. Therefore, she must be acting. According to them, she will have to keep up this Oscar-worthy performance for the rest of her life, while Charlie supposedly hides somewhere forever to keep the act going. Some even claim Erica Kirk is a Mossad agent involved in child trafficking. Yes, of course. This kind of hyper-skepticism is often unconscious defense mechanism. It reflects an inability to trust reality and life itself, the result of being constantly bombarded by deception over the past 5 years. But discernment requires more than mental gymnastics. Glued to the internet, it requires embodied somatic alignment. Somatic alignment, yes. Tell us more. Somatic embodied awareness versus head-centric dissociation. I've watched the close-up video of Kirk being shot, how he collapsed instantly, blood gushing from his neck. I felt the energy in my body as his life force left. You felt the energy in your body? It made me nauseous. It was deeply disturbing. I've seen a lot of dark things in my life, but I've never had that kind of visceral reaction to fake murders or horror films or AI-generated violence or other staged events. This was different. I trusted my somatic response. If someone feels nothing watching that or immediately assumes it was fake acted or AI generated, it likely reflects a disconnection from the body. Oh my god. This dude, bro. This dude is a fucking ego man. I don't know what the fuck. Disconnection from the body's innate somatic intelligence, a state of dissociation stuck in the head, numbed by unresolved trauma. When we are disassociated and disembodied, we also lose access to true intuition. We may mistake all kinds of impressions and thoughts for intuition, but we end up only seeing what we want to see. In other words, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. I mean, isn't he talking about himself? We see the world as it is. It's as if he believes he sees the world as it really is, and that no one else does. He's saying he's the most awake. And just a side note, he runs a lot of courses. Yes, he runs courses for people. Years of exposure to media violence combined with chronic dissociation and the trauma installment program of the past 5 years have desensitized many people. Nervous systems numbed by their mind body spirit connection and blunted their ability to register real human suffering. I've watched videos of students who were there witnessing the shooting up close. You can hear it in their voices, see it in their faces, and sense it in their nervous systems. They've seen something horrifying. The PTSD is already present because it was very real. Yet according to some truthers, they were all in on it too, giving another world-class acting performance. Sometimes the "it was fake" narrative isn't critical thinking at all, but unconscious denial. When reality is too disturbing to face, the mind escapes into alternative explanations to avoid the somatic impact. This is an unconscious defense mechanism, not discernment, even though the mind justifies it as such. Just as denial is the first stage of grief, it's all fake conspiracy story can become a coping mechanism. Subtopic 4: The trap of the second matrix. The overly paranoid truther is in many cases a product of the last 5 years of global insanity. It is a trauma response, an inability to trust reality itself, leading to the belief that everything is fake, staged, scripted, or a psyop. Researching conspiracy theories or uncovering hidden agendas without sincere inner psychospiritual work, especially shadow work, nervous system regulation, and inner child healing. These are literally just buzzwords. I think this guy is just, oh my god. Master regulator, I'm gonna call him master regulator. Inner child healing will eventually lead you to get lost in the rabbit hole while believing yourself to be awake. The key word here is sincere. Many people think they are doing the inner work, but they are not being sincere. You cannot discern truth from lies in the outside world if you have not learned to do so within yourself. That requires facing the lies of the false personality and seeing where trauma responses and shadow projections still distort your perception. Otherwise, truth-seeking becomes just another loop in the matrix, another ego identity propped up by fear, wounding, and misplaced mistrust. It traps you in I can't say the name. It traps you in what Neil Kramer called the second matrix of your own paranoid mind while you dream. Lie to yourself that you are awake. As Gurdjieff said, I didn't have Gurdjieff in the drinking game, but definitely should have. In order to understand the interrelation of truth and falsehood in life, a man must understand falsehood in himself, the constant, incessant lies he tells himself. Subtopic 5: Caught in the victim blame drama triangle. Many people who immerse themselves in conspiracy research are genuinely motivated by a desire to uncover truth. Yet without realizing it, it's easy to become almost exclusively externally focused, constantly trying to expose the boogeyman, while unconsciously falling into the victim, persecutor, rescuer drama triangle. David Hawkins. Take a drink. David Hawkins. David Hawkins' map of consciousness suggests that this state of perception, based on victim blame consciousness, typically operates below the level 200, which means it's more likely to misinterpret or distort reality than to perceive it clearly. Without sincere inner work and self-awareness, anyone can end up seeing only what they want to see, mistaking projections and emotional reactivity for objective reality. Psychologically, this often shows up as black and white thinking, rooted in unresolved trauma and unconscious splitting. It limits our capacity for nuance, or what could be called spiritual vision. The ability to reconcile paradox and hold complexity. Includes realities such as karma, soul lessons, the divine will, and the deeper teaching function of evil. This is not to deny that conspiracies exist. They do. However, when our focus remains solely on external plots without also turning inward, to understand our own psyche and engaging in psycho-spiritual work to align with our true self, we can easily become lost in a maze of shadows and projections. It's interesting how this seems like he's talking about himself, which is, you know, isn't all writing reflect back on the self, on the author? To align with our true self. I dropped my pencil. Damn it. The sobering truth is that a large percentage of humanity operates below 200 on the scale of consciousness, including many truthers who sincerely believe they are awake. For a deeper exploration of this topic, you can listen to our podcast episodes, How to Raise Your Level of Consciousness, How to Move from Victimhood to Empowerment. I need my pencil, bro. Okay. Get it. Subtopic 6, Snake Eyes and Predictive Programming. People have asked me about the 1998 movie Snake Eyes in the context of predictive programming and the Kirk assassination, since there have been some similarities. Excuse me. I'm aware of the movie. I also have been aware of other synchronistic movie scripts, Simpsons episodes, the famous Illuminati cards, and other examples regarding false flag attacks, shootings, and so on, which could be seen as predictive programming. This goes all the way back to the film The Matrix, 1999, where Neo's ID shows the date 9/11/2001. I used this clip to expose 9/11 as an inside job over 20 years ago, among other things. I used to call it predictive programming, but I no longer do. That label carries an assumption that someone is orchestrating everything and programming the masses at all times. While I don't dismiss predictive programming entirely, in the context of social engineering, it is short-sighted and oversimplified to treat it as an absolute conclusion. You cannot reduce everything to it. There are other possibilities for overlaps between films and real-life events, such as synchronicity, the circulatory of time. Am I saying that right? The circularity of time. Leave it to Bernhard to write circularity of time. Or simply the filmmaker's imagination, tapping into something archetypal without being aware of it. When you make everything about an all-powerful puppet or master, I can't read that right, man. When you make everything about an all-powerful master puppeter, controlling reality and scripting everything, you hand over your own power. It locks you in a dead end of negativity where everything is staged, everything is programmed, which leads straight to blackpilling and alienation, believing that everything is an artificial simulation, that we are caught in a gigantic AI computer program, is the epitome of the black-pilled conspiracy mindset in a form of extreme victim consciousness. This dude is a nut. I disagree with all that, man, especially this. In a state of being cut off from essence, divine spirit, caught in a form of materialistic nihilism, unable to witness and experience the beauty of divine creation, immune amongst darkness. I mean, Is this not projection? Is this whole article not projection? This is... Every time I read this guy, it fucking makes me more mad. Believing that some nefarious entity or cabal controls everything is actually the psyop, and there are occult hyperdimensional forces that want us to believe that. Their goal is to disempower us and make us hand over our power and creative energy. Considering Jung's concept of synchronicity, its relationship to the collective unconscious, quantum physics, and the interconnectedness of everything, it is possible that many other explanations exist, even from a karmic evolutionary perspective, without assuming intentional programming. In fact, looking at it from an evolutionary astrology perspective, which helps us zoom out from the subjective lens, Charlie Kirk's natal chart, progressed chart, nodal placements, and transits during the eclipse point to a very fated event, as if it were divine will or karmic trajectory. A similar pattern can be seen in Erica's chart. We have explored this topic in our recent podcast, The Eclipse, Mass Trauma, and the Battle for Consciousness. The mind struggles to reconcile this because it is stuck in a Newtonian materialistic paradigm of linear time and an overly simplified. Would I call him the master regulator? This is a master regulator. Absolutely. The mind struggles to reconcile this because it's stuck in a Newtonian materialistic paradigm of linear time and an oversimplified materialistic view of cause and effect, seeing the world as separate from oneself. The mind will also never comprehend how unseen evolutionary cycles, karmic trajectories, and divine will intersect with it all. I'm gonna drink now because this is his favorite, his favorite cultist, the Sri Aurobindo Ashram. This man's religion, synthesis of yoga. Sri says this, quote, "The only free will in the world is the one divine will of which nature is the executrix, for she is the master and creator of all other wills. Free will can be real in a sense, but like all things that belong in the modes of nature, it is only relatively real. The mind rides on a swirl of natural forces, balances on a poise between several possibilities, inclines to one side or another, settles and has the sense of choosing, but it does not see. It is not even dimly aware of the force behind that has determined its choice. I cannot see it because that force is something total and to our eyes indeterminate. Behind this petty instrumental action of the human will, there is something vast and powerful and eternal that oversees the trend of the inclination and presses on the turn of the will. There is a total truth in nature greater than our individual choice. This apparently self-acting mechanism of nature conceals an immanent divine will that compels and guides it and shapes its purposes. But you cannot feel... Excuse me. You cannot feel or know that will while you are shut up in your narrow cell of personality, blinded and chained to your viewpoint of the ego and its desires. For you can wholly respond to it when you are impersonalized, embodied by knowledge and widened to see all things in the self and in God and the self. and God in all things, end quote. Let's continue after that boring diversion. I recommend reading The Eye of I by David Hawkins. He lays it out in the illusion of the Newtonian cause and effect paradigm, which most of us are caught in. I'm not implying that the distorted New Age idea of reality creation or the corrupted law of attraction is the answer. By ignoring evil and just focusing on positive thoughts in a solipsistic bubble, Hawkins' work, non-duality teachings, the quantum physics have been misused in this way for spiritual bypassing. I see many people get stuck in the predictive programming rabbit hole as I once did. It does not resolve anything and often creates more paranoia and mental loops that may satisfy the conspiracy intellect which believes it is solving a puzzle, while receiving some dopamine hits from it in the search for the boogeyman. Excellent, excellent writing here. Just love it. Just love it. Subtopic 7. Nothing changes but rearranges. Yet have you noticed that nothing truly changes in the long run? No one is ever really revealed or arrested, and the conspiracies, evil psyops, and wrongdoing continue even as the ego believes it has achieved something by chasing the dangling carrot of conspiracy revelation. The 9/11 conspiracy is still entrenched, and no public revelation, let alone arrests, has ever taken place. There will always be more to hook you in and figure out. Why? Because there is no shift in consciousness, no inner transformation to positively impact the world. It all remains a mental and external exercise. This also relates to what I wrote in my article, Facing the Deep State and PSYOP Within Yourself, the Essence of Shadow Work, in the context of Wetiko. So this is an excerpt from Bernhard's article. I can't. I need to get an antacid. Can hardly breathe. An excerpt from the article here. Most people, normies and self-proclaimed awake truthers alike, indulge in their shadow projections, sometimes truthers even more than normies, ironically. Their mind and reality by extension through the process of projective identification will always will always provide them with a reason and justification to mistake their projections for reality, augmented by thought injections from occult forces that trigger the unconscious shadow to feed off of the emotionally charged projections of the suppressed shadow. The suppressed shadow. Right. Suppressed shadow, of course. As Paul Levy explained in his work, this is also the modus operandi of Wetiko. Remember Paul Levy, right? I'm going to show you this cursed image so we can take a look at Paul Levy. Oh my God. Oh my God. It tags into the shadow and shows you what you want to see so it can feed off you even more. That is why trying to expose all the lies, psyops, and conspiracies out there in the world becomes an endless feedback loop. Quote, you
and the collective psyche, drawing from the collective unconscious, and your personal shadow will, quote, dream up more of the same while living under the illusion that the outside world is separate from, quote, you, end quote. Subtopic 8. Wetiko, the trap of externalizing all evil. Paul Levy, the author of 3 books on Wetiko, defines it as a contagious psycho-spiritual disease of the soul, a parasite of the mind currently being acted out in mass on the world stage through an insidious collective psychosis of titanic proportions. This mind virus, which Native Americans have called Wetiko, covertly operates through the unconscious blind spots in the human psyche, rendering people oblivious to their own madness and compelling them to act against their own best interests. I've referenced Wetiko extensively in my writing over the past 10 years, ever since Levy's first published book, Dispelling Wetiko, in 2013. Paul has also been a guest on the Cosmic Matrix podcast 3 times in the past 5 years, where we explored this topic more deeply in the context of current and past events. Remember why I told you this guy is master regulator. Excellent with PR. Yes, very good with it. The Most Awake, Bernhard Guenther. The topic has become more popular in recent years thanks to Paul's research and revelations based on personal experience. More people are also open to this information out of necessity, given the state of the world and their deeper search for answers. However, with its popularity came many distortions and false ideas about Wetiko. I have noticed that many people form their own concepts and assumptions without ever genuinely researching the subject. Paul himself has encountered these distortions and premature assumptions to the point of coining a term for it. Premature comprehension delusion. Nice. I haven't heard that one yet. Premature comprehension delusion. This is an excerpt from Undreaming Wetiko by Paul Levy. Wetiko has myriad ways of derailing any serious investigation into its nature. Oftentimes, for example, I'll meet a person or a group who seem genuinely interested in Wetiko and want to learn more. They'll ask me a couple questions, and then after hardly any time at all, they think they've got it. I was going to say figured out. They think they've got it. And feel they sufficiently understand what it's all about, an attitude that short-circuits any deeper inquiry into realizing the endlessly mind-blowing revelation that is Wetiko. When this plays out, instead of them, quote, getting the radical nature of Wetiko has, quote, gotten them. I've come up with the name for this syndrome, premature comprehension delusion. Subtopic 9. Wetiko makes us think the problem is outside of us. One significant distortion is the tendency to see only Wetiko and evil in others in a particular group or in, quote, the system. It is the same trap as seeing the Matrix only out there in its various 3D manifestations while failing to recognize how Matrix occult forces and Wetiko also work through us. Ironically, the insistence on only seeing evil externally and projecting the Matrix onto the world keeps Wetiko and evil in power, while people fight shadows on the wall. As a result, many people, even within the truth movement, have become infected by Watiko, projecting it onto others and the world at large. Paul Levy explains. Here's a quote. We all potentially have Watiko as it pervades and informs the underlying field of consciousness. Any one of us, at any moment, can fall into our unconscious and unwittingly become an instrument for the evil of Watiko to act itself out through us and incarnate in our world. If we see someone who seems to be taken over by Watiko, we think that they have the disease and we don't. In seeing them as separate, we have fallen under the spell of the mind virus. Let me take another look at that. You can see this in people who are primarily negatively oriented and only see psyops out there. Locked in, oversimplified black and white thinking born of psychological splitting. Without psychological self-awareness, inner work, and a higher spiritual vision in the context of the evolution of consciousness, many people hardly recognize any goodness or the presence of the divine force anymore. Instead, they become hardened, nihilistic, and disembodied, caught in the head. As a result, they disconnect from their essence and creative potential. In that disconnection, Watiko instills a counterfeit false persona, which is mistaken for the true self. Sri Aurobindo called it, quote, the charlatan within, end quote. The false persona becomes the vessel through which Watiko, and by extension the occult hostile forces, create their desired reality through us. All esoteric traditions, east and west, have spoken of these non-human occult forces and entities in their own ways. One of Watiko's favorite strategies is to make us think the problem is outside of us. How much longer, bro? Just goes on and on, bro. I'm not even close to being done. I'm not even close to being done, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna probably actually stop here. If I want to do the rest of this, I will, but I can't handle anymore right now. Loosh. Oh, I forgot to drink when he says loosh. PR, bro. Master regulator. How far am I up here, man? I'm not even halfway done. Can I finish the stage? I'll rewind. One of Watiko's favorite strategies is to make us think the problem is outside of us. Levy writes, quote from Paul Levy, Watiko subversively turns our genius for reality creation against us in such a way that we become bewitched by the projective tendencies of our own mind. Once we realize this, we can turn our attention inward, which is where the source and the solution of our problem is to be found. Falling under Watiko's spell, we become entranced by our own intrinsic gifts and talents for dreaming up our world in a way that not only doesn't serve us, but rather is put at the service of Watiko, whose agenda is contrary to our own. Our creativity then boomerangs against us, such that we hypnotize ourselves with our creative genius, which cripples our evolutionary potential. To the extent we are unconsciously possessed by the spirit of Watiko, it is as if a psychic tapeworm or parasite has taken over our brain and tricked us its host into thinking we are feeding and empowering ourselves while we are actually nourishing the parasite. Wetiko is a virulent psychic pathogen that I can't say the word. Wetiko is a virulent psychic pathogen that insinuates thought forms and beliefs into our mind, which, due to their misleading and false nature, when unconsciously accepted and acted upon, feed it and ultimately kill its host, us. End quote. Just give me a second. I'm gonna come back and read this. Can I finish the paragraph? God damn it. What did I do to myself? Awakening does not happen by trying to resolve or expose endless conspiracy theories. That's a hilarious line. Whenever I see Bernhard, I'm just gonna see this line. Awakening does not happen by trying to resolve or expose endless conspiracy theories. Oh yeah? Oh yeah, Bernhard? I'm not implying that we shouldn't simply look away and ignore it all. PR, bro. What did you just say? That is what you're implying. Without inner alignment and a fundamental shift in consciousness, people can fall into the illusion of being awake while actually lost in a mental rabbit hole, subjected to psychic, archetypal, Wetiko, and occult forces, as well as manifestations of the collective and personal shadow they are unaware of. Unaware of. He's like, who could be this fucking cocky dude? Unaware of. Talking about how we're unaware, and I'm not unaware, and you are unaware. Dude sucks. I'm definitely not enjoying this, but it's got all the language there, concepts I'm familiar with, but I don't see it this way. So when I come back, I'm gonna start on this next paragraph. I got a lot to go. I'm gonna be honest. Got a lot to go, man. Okay, it ends here, so I can read it. And this whole last section is trying to get people to sign up for his course. Fuck this guy, man. I don't give a fuck. I don't like him. But whatever, he's serving somebody. If you feel like you can get something out of his master class, then then join in. Veilofreality.com. This is Bernhard Guenther, Substack. I'll be right back in a minute.
Yes. 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 Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Manufactured conspiracies. Why would he put him? Why would he put MK Ultra in a manufactured conspiracy, bro? That shit's very real. Is he not aware how very real that is? He's dismissive of stuff that's real, and that's why this guy gets paid the big bucks. COINTELPRO, MK Ultra, and manufactured conspiracies. Subtopic 10. Just as Batico operates through the psyche, COINTELPRO exploits that same vulnerability on the socio-political plane. I suggested the real psyop is the conspiracy that it was all fake. Charlie Kirk is alive, and Erica and the Turning Point crew, hundreds of other people are in on it, just acting and fooling you. From a deep state COINTELPRO counterintelligence program perspective, this is entirely possible, right? I wrote about these kinds of operations more than 10 years ago. There are counterintelligence operations specifically designed to inject fake conspiracies into the truth movement, steering truthers away from the truth and reality and making them believe they are uncovering a significant secret and are awake. This ties into MK Ultra as well. Deep state psyop operators understand the psychological weakness of many truthers who, especially in the past, don't rip it, dude. Fuckhead. Tearing up my cords. This ties into MK Ultra as well. Deep state psyop operators understand the psychological weakness of many truthers who, especially in the past 5 years, he keeps going on about the 5 years. God, fuck you, bro. Fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you up. Jumps up to attack me, that asshole. My precious Bombay, what a nuisance. And a criminal. Truthers are very highly suggestible, it says here. Yes. Their over-paranoid state of mind leads them to believe that everything is staged, scripted, and acted. These operators exploit the fact that we are aware we are constantly being lied to, amplifying that perception to the extreme for their own purposes. This is COINTELPRO 101. Keep in mind that good COINTELPRO disinformation operations always mix truth with lies to lure the seeker in, then lead them deeper into fake rabbit holes. They hardly need to do anything. One seed is enough, and the insanity spreads on its own, fueled by an egregore-like entity that infects truthers who resonate with it. That resonance can also be mistaken for intuition. Here's an example of a possible COINTELPRO outlet spreading false conspiracy theories in the form of alternative media. Come on, dude. I like Sean, the People's Voice, bro. I always be watching the People's Voice, bro. Here's a tweet from the People's Voice, Sean. This is I'm gonna read the tweet. Leaked files reveal Kirk's wife Erica is a child trafficking Mossad agent. Yes, I recently saw that. Okay. They told us the story was simple, a tragedy, a grieving widow and a nation watching in sympathy. But scratch the surface and the mask falls. The widow might not be who she says she is. Evidence is emerging that Erica Kirk was groomed, trained, positioned in place not to mourn, but to inherit. Behind her polished smile and professional public performances lies a pipeline of children moved across borders. Fortunes rerouted offshore and influence funneled straight into the hands of her handlers. This post garnered 30,000 likes and the account boasts 280,000 followers. Thinks it's infiltrated by purchased bots. Most of the content also appears to have been generated by ChatGPT. I can say for a fact it's not. It's not generated by ChatGPT. When you watch the videos of the People's Voice Sean, he comes across like an NPC version of a truther, reading from a GPT script. I think that that's bullshit. Possibly. According to Jordan Sather. Oh, here we go, bro. Who is Jordan Sather? Who's that, man? This guy? This guy? Very cool. Applied awareness, it says. Head ship poster at We the Media 17. Alright, here we go. What's it say? The People's Voice has been clickbait disinflo blog for years. From 2014 to 2020, they were called Your News Wire. 2020 to 2023, they were called News Punch, rebranded to The People's Voice. Nearly every article they publish is a sensationalized piece or straight disinformation, carefully crafted to get clicks on their blog and ad revenue from website views. They write their articles to appear legit, but rarely, if ever, show direct evidence to support their headline assertions. End quote. Most people are already in is it the full thing? Did I get it? It ends with, beware of these clowns. You know, if you point the finger and have to call someone a clown, you're kind of like, so kind of a tell. But I'm not trying to, I don't know. I don't really know. Back to Bernhard here. Most people are already in a disassociated, disembodied, and dysregulated state. Conspiracy truthers who spend most of their time on the internet and social media researching are no exception, especially if they're not engaged in any embodied inner psycho-spiritual work. It is easy to program. I mean, this line right here is a sales pitch. Beware of this clown. Okay? You can tell in about 2 paragraphs, in 10 paragraphs, he's about to shill for his course. He's going to sell you on a course that will help you engage in embodied inner psycho-spiritual work from the comfort of your own home. You can do it on the computer.
So this line right here, especially if they are not engaged in any embodied inner psychospiritual work, this is a sell line for the course he's gonna try to sell. Just so that's clear. It's not clear because it's put in the article, but that's what that is. It is easy to program a disassociated mind carrying unconscious trauma when the mind no longer trusts reality. Because of psychological splitting, it becomes highly vulnerable to fake conspiracies. This amplifies schizoid tendencies, convincing people they are awake and on the right track, while they laugh at the rest of us, believing we are the ones who are asleep and gullible. No surprise that many truthers who fall into this trap also lack. Oh wow, that's a huge insertion here. Lack emotional intelligence. Very fair, my Bernhard. Can be hostile, childish, and develop a kind of grandiosity. Oh yes. Grandiosity. This is MK Ultra style trauma-based mind control programming combined with social I mean, how could he just say this is this? The grandiosity and the arrogance is actually on your side, Bernhard. This is MK Ultra style trauma-based mind programming combined with social engineering, and this new wave of truthers is more vulnerable to it than ever before. That's how easily an awakening impulse can get hijacked. I said months ago that polarization and violence would intensify. Okay, now you're saying you made a prediction, so you want to have this prediction under your belt. Okay, maybe you did say that. But who could not just say that? Everyone's saying that, man. You're not alone in this prediction. But obviously that's not the case, so you're wrong about that. So here it goes. I said months ago that polarization and violence would intensify. These projections from leftists towards conservatives are escalating, and so are the projections from conservatives toward the left. On the surface, it appears to be a socially engineered race war. I don't know why you would choose that phrase. It's kind of fucked up. Who are the racists? At its core, this is a spiritual war. The ones benefiting from it are spiritual forces in the unseen realms that have been manipulating humanity for thousands of years, and it is escalating. The war happens through us. Yes, it always has. This is an hyperdimensional divide and conquer operation, with humans generating more loosh for these forces to feed on. Excuse me. Subtopic 11, the spiritual war and the real solution. Anybody who's telling you they have this, huge red flag. Anybody that's telling you they have this is a liar. There is no political solution. There is no ideological solution, whether left, right, center, or anarchist. There is no law and order solution of simply arresting the bad guys. There is no social media solution. Outrage posts and prayer memes won't cut it. There is no There is no expose all the conspiracies solution. I disagree. I think there is a expose all the conspiracies solution. But maybe that's my optimism, because I don't see, when you say stuff, you put it into existence. By writing this, it solidifies it for himself. There is no new age bypass solution, ignoring it to focus on positive vibes. I think the positive vibes people get a bad rap. I really do. There is no religious solution. There we go. He links to another one of his articles, which I read recently. There is no revolutionary solution, no savior solution. Bitcoin won't fix it either, nor technology, AI, or transhumanism. Some of it may have a positive effect for a while, but none of it will be sustainable in the long term, let alone bring about any fundamental change. This is a crisis of consciousness, a war on consciousness. You know, that word, we don't use that word around here. We don't use consciousness, bro. We don't use that. It is a spiritual war that works through us. Hence, the solution must be spiritual in nature if it is to affect a change in consciousness. There you go with that. Change in consciousness. We are functioning at a very low level of consciousness, deeply disconnected from our spiritual nature and from the divine. There are many matrices, okay? And, getting into this man stuff, this is another matrix. So I'm gonna keep. I can't hold my tongue this time, man. All this language, this David Hawkins, it's another matrix map, bro. I don't do no David Hawkins. Nope. David Hawkins can go suck my dick. We're functioning at a very low level of consciousness, deeply disconnected from our spiritual nature and from the divine. We are, or are we? We are, or are you? What it says here is, Bernhard is saying, I am functioning at a very low level of consciousness, deeply disconnected from my spiritual nature and from the divine. Lost in the depths of the Kali Yuga. The distraction and illusion of external technological advancement convince us that we are more evolved, but in truth we are like children in kindergarten pretending to be adults. I still have a long way to go during what the esoteric traditions call the time of transition, if we want it to be a successful one. Oh, so that this successful time of transition, it won't work. We won't have a time of transition. Is it not fated and destined? Saying we won't have a successful time of transition if I keep writing blogs. It's kind of what it's looking like. So here we go, subtopic 12. What is the solution, you may ask? For that, you must take a deep and honest look in the mirror. There it is. Take a look in the mirror, bro. And you know what the mirror is? That's some Alice in Wonderland shit. Look in the mirror. And I can guarantee that if you are sincere, you won't like what you see. Most people are not sincere, so they project their insecurities and shadow onto others, looking outward instead. We will need to understand the spiritual forces that have guided and influenced and manipulated humanity for thousands of years, and how they also work through us, influencing our thoughts, emotions, desires, and actions. Rudolf Steiner, I need to take a drink. Along with this comes the need for deeper integrated understanding of what Sri Aurobindo and Rudolf Steiner referred to as the problem of evil. Most people, even within the Truth and Freedom movement, hold a simplistic Hollywood-style view of evil. It is projected outward onto someone, a group, a people, in black and white terms with little nuance or self-reflection. But good and evil are not even a true duality. There we go. Evil is a force of ignorance that moves through every human being, expressing itself in varying degrees depending on one's level of consciousness. It does not only show up as the overtly violent or grotesque, it often hides within the good and moral and virtuous. I see what he's trying to say there, for sure. From Solzhenitsyn here. Quote, if only it were so simple. If only there were evil people somewhere insidiously committing evil deeds, and it were necessary only to separate them from the rest of us and destroy them. But the line separating good and evil passes, not through states, not between classes, nor between political parties either, but right through every human heart, and through all human hearts. End quote. In a deeper esoteric context, evil and the adverse hyperdimensional forces also serve a teaching function. They play a role in the evolution of consciousness by confronting us with the necessity of inner transformation. But to truly understand this, not just as an abstract philosophy, requires spiritual vision and embodied realization. Does this imply refraining from action? Far from it. The real question is, where is your action coming from and what are you aligned with? Oh, yes, right. Good question. I am not trying to sound pessimistic, but seeing how many people are traumatized without realizing, this is so odd to write about other people. I'm not trying to sound pessimistic, but seeing as how many people are traumatized without realizing and convinced they are awake, yet trapped in unconscious defense mechanisms that keep them disembodied and imprisoned in the mental labyrinth of the Matrix, I can tell you, we will see more psychosis and collective insanity in the years ahead. This will be intensified by occult hostile forces and entities feeding the already fragmented mind with thought injections, hardening false beliefs, nonsense conspiracies, and feeding off the grandiosity, anxiety, projections, frenzy, and delusions. It brings spiritual warfare to a new level. Soul embodiment and the ability to discern within yourself what is a shadow part, a wounded subpersonality, an inner child part, a defense mechanism, a shadow projection, an entity interference, a thought injection, an egregore, or your true self in alignment with the divine have never been more important. I'm rolling my eyes internally. Without the inner discernment, you risk losing yourself over the next 20 years, as Pluto in Aquarius will only intensify mental stability in those who are already ungrounded. In short, know thyself. Interesting way to end it, bro. Know thyself. Without it, your inner discernment will always be limited and compromised, though I cannot close this window any faster. Just to recap, that was Bernhard Guenther, Time of Transition. If you want to support his work, you can visit veilofreality.com. He runs a podcast with his wife. I find it creepy. I support. Not entirely sure why. But yeah, it's useful for me to read and parse out. So that's why I read these here. It stimulates my mind, even if unconsciously I disagree with some of his precepts and his own projections. Because that man is captured. That man is I'm going to highlight it here, a master regulator. So I'm going to say, God bless you. Have a beautiful night. And I'll be back later this week for more of the devotionals as I read. Try to get a few days a week at least. So have a blessed day. And remember, I'm still rocking with you.
Nicholas out.